All right. So recording is started. So this is the 10th session for our training. And today is going to be one of the exciting topics for most of you, if not all of you. Maybe many of you they are already, well familiar with this, but many of us are not. So today we are going to discuss CDS views, core data services views, which is going to be in future, which is going to be the default paradigm for our data sources as well, and for our embedded analytics in S4 as well. So we will do a deep dive into CDS views. We'll do some theory first so that you understand what is a CDS view and what goes inside of a making of a CDS view. And then we will jump to the data sources created out of those CDS view. So today we will cover first two. I'll try to cover the first two, which is the data source based on CDS view, which is generic data source without the ODQs, and the data source based on CDS views with ODQs. Okay. So this is an annotation based CDS view. This is a non-annotation based CDS view, the important annotation. So we'll look into that. Enhancing the data source. Maybe we'll take it in the next session, because I think this will be enough to cover today's class, and we'll take in the next class the enhancement. And then there is no post Q&A today, unfortunately, because I want to cover BW statistics in BW for HANA. So the BI statistics or BW statistics has changed. There's a transformational change, and we all should be aware of what that change is. I have been also getting a lot of emails about these CDS views, which are now the base for the statistics in BW for HANA. So how can we see that? How can we access that? How can we create a query, and what is the concept? Things like that. So we will discuss the BW statistics in BW for HANA today after the class. All right. So my apologies. I will not be able to take the questions today after the class. All right. So let's start CDS views. So we just ended the pre-Q&A session. And now we will jump into CDS views. So I'll request all of you to be on mute. I will give you opportunity to ask questions because I have a lot of ground to cover today, and this is a very important topic. So let's not have too many questions in between. If I'm asking a question, you can answer, but I'm not going to answer too many questions in between. And I will also encourage you to put your questions in the folder like other people are doing, so that at least in pre-Q&A, I'm attempting to answer that. You will get the answers there. All right. So CDS views, we have heard a lot about CDS views. It's all over the place on the internet, on the blogs, on the YouTube, or everywhere. You will find CDS views. Everybody is dealing with CDS views, some happily, some not so happily. So we'll try to create that CDS view journey for you easier. We'll try to make it easier. So what is CDS? First, you have to understand that where it started and what does it actually mean. CDS views are not the only object under CDS. There is a separate technology or separate language SAP created, and that language is OpenSQL based language, and it also has objects. So a separate language was created, and objects adhering or compliant to that particular language were also created. And the combination of this language, a new language, and the objects together is called CDS, Core Data Services. Don't think that CDS views are the only object in CDS. CDS contains CDS tables, CDS DB views, CDS views, and CDS functions. Okay. So you can create a table in a Core Data Services language. You can create a CDS function in Core Data Services language, and you can also create a CDS views in Core Data Services language. So it's a combination of a new language, which is based on OpenSQL, and objects. Objects can be multiple types of objects, views, tables, functions, etc. So that is a new language paradigm and new objects created by SAP to take care of performance issues and also limitations we had previously with DB views. And of course, the most popular amongst all the objects of CDS family is CDS view. So CDS view is nothing but your calculation view in ABAP. So like calculation view we create in HANA-DB, same thing we create, same type of object is a CDS view if you want to compare in ABAP. So CDS view is always created in ABAP if we are and we are talking about only ABAP CDS views here. It comes in two flavors. CDS also comes in two flavors, HANA CDS and ABAP CDS. We are not talking about HANA CDS. We will do a comparison here, but right now we are only talking about ABAP CDS views. So ABAP CDS views are basically your calculation views in ABAP language. That's what it is, because it's doing exactly the same thing what a calculation view does. So what exactly is a CDS view? It is a select query on a bunch of tables. That's all it is. Don't be intimidated by CDS views. It is a very simple thing. It is a select query, of course, a complex select query, but essentially a select query on tables. And it can also be a select query on CDS views. So CDS views can have hierarchical structure. One CDS view can be based on another CDS view. That CDS view in turn can be on another CDS view, so on and so forth. At the end, the final CDS view will be based on base tables, the application tables, okay, or your custom tables if you have created. So that's what it is. It's just a select query on a table or on a combination of tables with, of course, joins, different joins you can put. You can do some cast if you want to concatenate two fields. Although transformations can happen, but it's a part of your select clause. It achieves code push down to HANA database or any database. CDS view, ABAP CDS view is not restricted to HANA DB only. CDS view can work on any database. And the syntax of this new language, OpenSQL syntax, is kept in a way that any database you put under the ABAP CDS view, it will do a code push down. Of course, if it is HANA, then it will be even faster than other databases, but it is not restricted to only HANA. So ABAP OpenSQL syntax is used, and that is created specifically for two purposes. One purpose to eradicate the limitations of a normal DB view, okay, and also do a code push down. These are the two primary motives of creation of these CDS views. Then the embedded analytics, which is inside S4HANA, which previously was called HANA Live, which was based on calculation views, is deprecated, no longer used. The CDS views have replaced them and has taken their place. ABAP based CDS views. Again, I'm only talking about ABAP CDS views here. And we have something called semantics, which is annotations. Okay, it starts with @. So when you create CDS views, one of the most important things you should know are annotations. Annotations gives properties to CDS view. Then we have something called associations, which is your joins on demand. That means only when you include something from the association, the join will happen. Otherwise, the join will not happen. Okay, so that's why it's called join on demand. Whenever you are demanding a field from the associated table or associated CDS view, then only the join will happen. That's what is called association. And then we also have something called expressions. Expressions means you can write complex expressions now inside the CDS view. Previously in normal DB view, this was not possible. It was very limited, but now you can write complex expressions. In fact, you can write parameterized CDS views and a lot of other things. But essentially, these three things are key properties or key functionalities given by CDS view: annotations, associations, and expressions. Annotation, the most important. So what is an annotation? Just if I want to explain it to you. So say, for example, you want to talk to a Chinese guy, okay, who only knows Chinese. He or she does not know English language or any other language. They only know Chinese language. Now, can you talk to that guy if you don't know Chinese? No, you will not be able to communicate with that guy. That guy will not be able to communicate with you. Now, if I train you on Chinese language, and then if I tell that particular person that yes, this guy is ready because he or she learned Chinese, now you can communicate. So what I did, I added some property to you. What is that property? Language property. So you know Chinese, and if that person knows that, okay, this guy has been trained in Chinese, I can communicate, he or she can start communicating with you. Otherwise, you will not be able to talk to each other. Same thing is annotations. Annotations put properties to CDS views so that the different subscribers or different consumers can read those CDS views. Say, for example, one of the consumer is BW. If you don't tell BW that, yes, this guy can understand your language, BW language, BW will not be able to communicate with that CDS view. So that's the property you have to put. Similarly for your OData services. Okay, if you don't put that property in CDS view which says, yes, this CDS view understands OData language. Okay, it understands the open data protocol, it understands the API language, and that's when the OData consumer can start accessing those CDS view and then can start reading those CDS view. So annotations provide those necessary properties to the CDS view so that the different consumers can read those CDS view. Otherwise, they'll be non-readable. Same thing for BW. BW also needs certain annotations without which BW will not be able to read it. Then we have association, which is, I told you, join on demand, and then you can write complex expressions. So this is what is CDS view. It's a select query based on a new language, which is OpenSQL syntax based. It achieves code push down. It has annotations, it has associations, and it has complex expressions. It can also be parameterized. CDS view can also be parameterized. Parameterized means you can put some input parameters. Just like in a CV, you put input parameters. Same thing you can do for CDS view, you can put it parameterized. Now the question is, what was the need for this new language? Why SAP came up with a new paradigm and new language and new objects? The reason was limitations and code pushdown. So what were the limitations in our normal ABAP prior to 7.4 SP5? Limitations were that we could not write complex expression when creating a DB view. We could not do all the join types. Okay, left outer, right outer, full outer, all the join types were not allowed for a regular DB view, SQL DB view. Some additional restrictions were there. You cannot use a view of a view, like you cannot use another view inside another DB view. So that was not possible. Union was not allowed. Union all, union was not allowed. So a lot of restrictions and limitations were there in the SQL DB view of the past in ABAP. And it was based on SQL 92 standard. And of course, it was also based on OpenSQL, but it was the restricted OpenSQL, which did not allow us to do all these things. Then ABAP dictionary views, limitations of ABAP dictionary views. It was supported on all DBs, inner join and simple selections only. As I told you, not all join types were allowed. So only inner join and selections, simple selections were possible. Calculated expressions, aggregation, grouping were not supported. Nested views not supported. So these are the limitations which did not allow us to create a complex DB view. And then when HANA came as a database, it was also very strong database. It was a capable database. And that's why we also needed this language to push down the joins, push down the complex expressions to the HANA database, so that the ABAP only has to get the final value and the HANA does the heavy lifting. Because HANA, if you do things in database, then there is no data transfer between ABAP and HANA, and then it will be faster. The code will run faster. So this was the second criteria or the second requirement to come up with a new syntax. First is to overcome the limitation. Second is to push down the code to database. And again, it's not restricted to HANA database. ABAP CDS views can run on any database, and it still will have HANA code push down. Of course, HANA will run much faster than other databases, but code push down will be applicable to all databases. So the CDS is basically a collection of languages, as I told you, and services. Services means these objects, these semantically rich data models. When I say semantically rich, they are talking about annotations. Semantic means property. Property means annotations. So if you put annotations, different compilers, different consumers can start reading those CDS views. So it is a combination of data definition language. That means you can create tables, you can create CDS views, and you can extend those CDS views also. It's a query language. That means you can consume the CDS entities in your normal ABAP, and it is fully transparent SQL extensions, meaning in your normal ABAP code, when you write a select star from, that from can be, after the from can be on a CDS view. And then it also gives you the data control language, meaning the implicit authorization, which is there in ABAP, will be also applicable for CDS views. You can define your authorization for CDS views, and you can integrate with the classic authorization concept, which you already have in ABAP, role-based authorizations. So same thing will apply to CDS views also, and it is very tightly integrated with the transport layer. So the normal ABAP transport request what we create, the CDS view is very much integrated with the transport layer. Why? Because CDS view itself is an ABAP object. So that's why these are the benefits you will get when you use CDS views. So code push down, better performance, data definition language. You can define your tables also with this new language. You can put the authorizations, and you can embed or integrate this seamlessly with your ABAP transport layer. Now, you have also heard of HANA CDS views versus ABAP CDS views. So let's do a quick comparison. So SAP HANA Core Data Services. If you're talking about the native HANA, then the CDS view will be a part of your Access Advanced or Access Classic application server. That means the application server of SAP HANA native database, which is SAP HANA Access Advanced, or even in SAP HANA Access Classic, you can have your core data services. Of course, in Access Advanced, it is much more matured and more stronger. So in this example, they are showing for Access Advanced, SAP HANA Access Advanced in SAP Native HANA. And there you have core data services, which is your HANA CDS. Again, it is not just CDS view. You can have CDS table. You can create a table in HANA Native HANA with a CDS syntax. You can create a function with a CDS syntax, and you can also create a view with a CDS syntax. So that is a part of your Access Application Server functionality. This is HANA CDS. On the other hand, ABAP CDS view is basically a part of ABAP. It is defined in ABAP, and it is integrated with your HANA database or any database, and does a code push down. That's why there is an overlap. This yellow box is your ABAP application server. The green box is your database, and your orange box is your CDS ABAP, which overlaps between the two because it is created in the ABAP layer, but it also generates HANA or any database specific artifacts when you activate it, and it also integrates and does the code push down to the database. So that's why there's an overlap. Here, since there is no application server ABAP, the green box is there, which is the HANA platform, and the core data services will directly be in the HANA database, and it will talk to the HANA schemas and tables. Then we have UI and client-side application logic, which is common. UI and client-side application logic, which will use either the HANA CDS if you don't have a ABAP layer, or it will use the ABAP CDS if you have the ABAP layer in your landscape. So to take the advantage of SAP HANA for application development, SAP introduced a new modeling infrastructure known as core data services. SAP HANA CDS is provided by the Access Classic or Advanced Application Server. ABAP CDS is provided by NetWeaver ABAP in combination with your database, not just SAP HANA, it can be any database. Okay. The framework relevant for BW for HANA focuses on ABAP CDS views. Please remember that. Whenever we are dealing with CDS views in conjunction with BW, it will always be ABAP CDS views. We'll work with ABAP CDS views. And for this reason, the following details are related to the version of CDS. With ABAP CDS, data models are defined on the application server. So where will you define? You will define in the Eclipse, in the project, not in the HANA database directly. The ABAP CDS view, we will create here using these projects, okay? Not HANA DB directly. Because we are talking to application server, not directly to HANA database. CDS on the application server, but they are processed and consumed on the database server. They will be created on the application server, but when the processing will happen, when you will do a select star from that, that will be done by the database with a code push down paradigm. So CDS also offers capabilities beyond the traditional modeling tools, including support for conceptual modeling and relationship definition, which is nothing but your associations, built-in functions. There are a lot of CDS functions available, and you can extend the CDS views as well. The modeling concept is also fully implemented in ABAP, okay? Also applies for BW for HANA, enabling developers to work in the ABAP layer with the ABAP development tools, where the code will be pushed down to the database. The use of this technology means no installation or activation of technical content is required. So you don't need to activate any technical content. You can directly start using the standard CDS views, or you can create your custom CDS views. Nor there is a need to load any data because these are virtual. CDS views do not store data. CDS views is not an ADSO. CDS view is a virtual object, which is also called VDM, virtual data model. So CDS views are the new VDMs, which will give you data at runtime in real time. Okay, so they are virtual access from the tables, whatever tables are combined in the CDS views. The data is available in real time and processed by a virtual data model without its own persistence. So these are the three main musketeers of CDS: expressions, annotations, and associations. Expressions are used for calculations, like for example, you can do a concatenation, you can write, you can pad zeros with LPAD functions. So there are a lot of functions given. For strings, there are a lot of functions. For numeric fields, there are a lot of functions. For dates, there are a lot of functions, so on and so forth. So those are all complex expressions you can write. You can add a case statement. When you're writing a select, you can add a case statement. If you want an if condition kind of a behavior, you can add a case statement, so on and so forth. So those are complex expressions which are possible in CDS views. Associations are nothing but joins. Okay, it is if you want to understand simply, it's a join, but that join is slightly different than the traditional join, and the difference is that it will only be executed when you will request a column from the joined partner. So if I say select a dot column 1, a dot column 2 from a table A, join, not join, association table B. The join will not be executed because I'm not requesting any column from table B. But if you say select A dot column 1, A dot column 2, B dot column 1, then the join will be executed. So only when you are asking for the columns from the joint partner, the join will be executed, otherwise it will not. That's what makes it on demand join. And that is also created with simple path expressions. So path expressions means that you will just write the underscore and then the associated partner, and that will be your path expressions. Then we have annotations, as I told you, to put properties on the CDS view so that it is readable by different consumers, BW being one of them. Those are called annotations. Also, you can put properties on currency fields. Say, for example, there's a currency field. You want to designate that field as a currency code. This is a currency code. Similar to in ABAP, when we used to create a table, there was unit fields and currency fields, right? We used to specifically tell the compiler, ABAP compiler, that yes, these are currency fields, treat them separately. These are unit fields, treat them accordingly, so on and so forth. Similarly, you can also do with annotations here, which is nothing but your currency annotations will be there, unit of measurement annotations will be there, so on and so forth. So these are different properties you provide. Now you can provide properties to single fields, and you can also provide property to the entire CDS view. So annotations can be at a view level, CDS view level, or at a field level. Field level means example is currency code unit of measurement, and view level is you are making it readable for BW. So at a view level, you are putting those properties so that BW knows that yes, I can talk to this guy understands my language. So those are called annotations. They starts with @ always. Then some important salient points. CDS ABAP is database independent. So don't think that it only works with HANA. It works with any database. Supported, of course, SAP supported databases. Advanced view building, CDS view provide much more SQL features than classical dictionary views. Like we saw, annotations, expressions, associations. Annotations to add semantic information like end user text, currency keys, buffer settings, so on and so forth. And you can also write semantic information for consumers like OData services, your BW, which is analytics, SAP UI5, like your Fury tile. If you want to let a Fury tile read a CDS view, you have to publish that to OData. So those annotations are also there. So you can use these properties so that different consumers can read the CDS view. Implicit authorization check, meaning the authorization rules for the normal ABAP objects will also apply to the CDS objects. You don't need any special authorizations. It is the same type of authorizations, role-based authorizations, and it is also integrated with your transport layer. Association instead of joins. So define relations between CDS objects that will be translated into joins. So just writing a join, instead of writing the join, you can write, okay, there is no restriction. You can write from table A, left outer join, table B, or inner join, table B, that's possible. But associations are preferred because associations are faster because they are only executed on demand, not every time. So that's what makes it faster. Then you also have table functions, CDS based table functions, which will basically scripted coding, currently only supported for SAP HANA. I think with the latest version, it's also supported for other databases. And these are your table functions which you will create. And this is nothing but like your table function we created in the HANA modeling. So in the HANA modeling, we created a table function, right? So you can write a table function with CDS syntax here. ABAP DDIC view versus ABAP CDS views. Okay. So now coming back to that comparison, now let's check what ABAP CDS view can do, which the dictionary views could not do. So it is supported on all databases. That was also possible in the previous normal DB views. It is possible with ABAP CDS views. No change there. This was inner and simple selection only. This has inner join, outer joins, and union also. So now we have unions and joins both possible, and joins also. More type of joins are possible. Calculation expressions, aggregation, grouping was not possible before. Now with ABAP CDS views, you can write calculated expressions. You can write aggregations. Aggregation means your key figure, summation, what kind of behavior you want, summation, min, max, all those aggregation behavior. You can do that. And you can also do grouping of fields, concatenation of fields. So all those complex expressions are possible. And then views on views. So previously it was not supported that you create a DB view and then again create a DB view on top of that DB view. That was not possible. But with CDS views, the hierarchy is very much possible. And I don't think there's a limit. There might be a limit, but it might be a very high number because I have seen CDS views like 15, 20 levels also possible. So these are nested views on views. CDS related objects. So this is now a very important slide. We also understand it very thoroughly so that you will know that when a CDS view is activated, what happens actually in the backend. So when you activate a CDS view, okay, first of all, before activating a CDS view, you have to write the code. Okay, code means what tables you want to combine, what fields you want to take. Do you want any special annotations to be put there? Do you want any calculations to be put in your select clause, so on and so forth. So you have to write a code. That's your starting point. And to write a code, you need an object where you can write your code, right? In our HANA, native HANA, we used to write code for table functions. There was an opportunity to write code. Database procedures, there was an opportunity to write code. So here in the ABAP, it starts with a file. See, in HANA also, everything started like a file. When you create a calculation view in the repository, it is a .hdb calculation view. So it was a file with an extension. Similarly, the table function was an extension. Similarly, the database procedure was an extension. Access job was an extension. Here also, you have to create a file in the ABAP layer with the extension or the type as DDL source file. So when you create the DDL source file, it will give you the editor to write your code. So that's your starting point. And the symbol for that file extension is D, capital D. So if you see that capital D, that is your DDL source file where you will write all your code. Once you have written your code, then you press the activate button. And the moment you press the activate button, it will generate two entities. What are those two entities? First one is a SQL view, which is a database artifact. So it will create a SQL view in your ABAP dictionary and also in the HANA database or whatever database is underneath the ABAP application server. So it will create a SQL view, which is a pure database artifact. And it will also create something called CDS view entity. The actual CDS view will be created. So these are the three main objects associated with any CDS view. It will have a source file where you can edit your code or write your code. And then it will have an associated SQL view, which will be your HANA database object or your any database object. And it will finally have a CDS view entity, which is your main CDS view, which you will use in your ABAP language. If you want to write a select star from, that select star from should be from this guy, CDS view entity, which will be created. So if you see here, let me show you quickly in the system. So in the ABAP, if I just say Control Shift A, and I will try to search I_sales. Let's see if something comes up. These are the standard CDS views. Okay. So for a standard CDS view, say for example, I take I sales analytics cube. Okay. Let's double click on this. And then it will open up and I will show you the three entities which gets created. So here, core data services, data definition, there. So this capital D, your capital D is your DDL source file where you will actually write the code, the syntax, the select query, which I told you, right? ABAP CDS view is nothing but a select query. So this is your select query. And once you activate this, it will create two objects. One is this two bubbles and a small red icon, which is your actual CDS view entity. This guy. This is the actual CDS view. And then a SQL view will also get generated, which is your this guy, SQL view. This is a pure database object. So you can find it in the HANA-DB, native HANA-DB. If you go and try to find it, you can find this. And this one is not a HANA database artifact. It's also not a dictionary artifact. Okay, this DDL source file is written in your application editor, but this one which it gets generated, this if you try to find it in the backend HANA-DB, you will not be able to find it. Even if you try to find it in the ABAP dictionary, the SE11 ABAP dictionary, you will not be able to find this. This is specific to only the Eclipse editor. You can see it in the Eclipse editor. And in the code, in the ABAP code, if you want to write, suppose if you write a program, an ABAP program, or if you write an AMDP script where you want to do a select from the CDS view, then it will allow you to use that from this I_sales cube. So any select, if you want to use the CDS view and if you want to write a select, say for example in a table function or a CDS function, you want to use a CDS view, right? There you should not use the SQL view. You should always use the CDS view entity. So CDS view is your main object for using the CDS view. This is your code. This is your database connection. And this is your actual CDS view. And you should always stick to using this. Do not use this. Many people, what they are trying to do or what they have done in the past is they try to create a HANA CV on top of this SQL view. Okay, please don't do that. This SQL view is not to be used as a regular SQL view, not to be used in a HANA CV, not to be used anywhere else in the select clause, because this SQL view is strictly created just so that ABAP CDS can talk to the HANA CDS. It is not meant to use freely by a consumer or by any developer. It is deprecated to be used like that. Starting with, I think NetWeaver release 7.5 SP2. If you start using this, you will get 0 records, nothing. If you want to do select star from this SQL view, and if you want to use the SQL view in your calculation views, you will not get any data. It is deprecated to be used like that. Please don't use that. If you are using it already and it is working, maybe the version is not yet there. You're not on the latest version of ABAP NetWeaver. Once you go into latest version, this SQL view will start giving you 0 records. So it is strictly used by SAP in the backend to talk to your HANA database or any database. This is your actual guy which you should use in your ABAP code or any select clause. Okay. So a CDS view is defined in a DDL source file, which is a new type of repository object. So you can find it in the repository. This is our repository in S4 HANA. And then there is no editor for DDL sources in the classic ABAP workbench. So you cannot create a DDL source file in your classic ABAP workbench. You have to come to Eclipse editor and there you can create that. This new type of repository object has to be analyzed and developed in ABAP development tools in Eclipse. Upon activation, 2 objects are created, SQL view and CDS view. Neither of them can be edited directly. You cannot edit this directly. Only thing you can edit is this DDL source file, which in turn will cascade the changes, whatever you are doing, to this and this. The SQL view is visible as an object in the ABAP dictionary where it cannot be edited and only reveals a fraction of the information available in the DDL source. It serves as a representative of the database object. That's the main purpose, not for you to use it in a CV or to use it in a regular select. CDS view carries more semantics than its SQL view. SQL view is a regular SQL view. So if I want to check this, the definition, this will be a regular SQL view, whatever you define as a normal SQL view. So it is going to be a DDL SQL view, and it is based on this DDL source file, okay, which is this one. And you can see that it is just a read-only view. It is meant to be a read-only view where it will just give you the field name and the table name and the if it's a key field or not, what is the data element, data type, length, so on and so forth. Okay, it's not going to give you the semantics or the annotations used. It's not going to give you that information. That information you will find only in the DDL source file. What are the semantics used and so on and so forth. So this is primarily meant only to talk to the database and do a code push down to the database. That's all. Please don't use it freely. Okay, so it carries more semantics. It is not created on the database and it is not visible in the ABAP dictionary. Okay, the CDS view is not created on the ABAP dictionary. So this guy you will not be able to find in the ABAP dictionary. It can, however, be consumed via OpenSQL. So that means the code you are writing, the select, there you should use the CDS view. The new OpenSQL syntax introduced with 7.4 SP5 is required to access CDS views. So the new syntax is required, which is 7.4 SP5 to access the CDS views if you want to. There is a comparison. Okay, DDL source file, SQL view, CDS view. SQL view is a repository object. That means you can find it in the dictionary. That's what we saw. This is dictionary, ABAP dictionary. So I'm able to find this. Not found in repository. CDS view, which is generated, which is not found in the ABAP repository, represents a real database object, not known to database. CDS view is not known to database. The representative SQL view is known to database. So that's the middleman. SQL view is a middleman between your DDL source file, no, not DDL source file, your CDS view and your HANA database. SQL view is an ABAP data type. That means you can use it as a data type in your ABAP. Remember in ABAP, we write when we create variables with data keyword, we can use different data types. It can be a simple data type like integer, character. It can be a complex data type like another table can be a data type, a structure can be a data type. Similarly, you can use SQL view and CDS view both as a data type of your fields, of your variables in ABAP if you want. Okay, this is with client field. So your SQL view will have the client, and this is a structure which is without a client field. The CDS view is without a client field. Why? Because it is a database object. So it has to have a client field if it wants to talk to the tables of the database. And this guy does not have to talk to the database directly. So it does not have any client field. No additional semantics. You cannot see the semantics here, but additional semantics, which are nothing but annotations, are available at this CDS view level. The name of the CDS view is maximum 30 characters. So this guy, this name, define view, this one is maximum length is 30 characters. And can anyone tell me what is the maximum length of the SQL view name?
16.
16, exactly. So the SQL view name is 16 and the CDS view name is 30 characters. So that is the limitations. It is recommended, not technically necessary, that the name of the DDL source file is the name of the CDS view, but from a consistency standpoint, it is kept identical. Meaning the name of your DDL source file and the name of your CDS view are usually the same, although technically not required to be same, but we keep it same so that we can easily identify that, okay, this is the CDS view, so the source file will also be of the same name, but it's not technically mandatory. It's a best practice to keep the name same, source file and your CDS view. The name of the the SQL view cannot be the same. You have to put the name as a different name than your source file name or your CDS view name. So it has to be different than your CDS view name. That is technical mandate. The name of the SQL view is specified after the annotation @ABAP catalog.SQL view name. So every CDS view will have this mandatory annotation, and there you go. This is the annotation @. All annotations will start with @. We have different types of annotation. This is a catalog annotation. This annotation belongs to catalog. Okay, there are different categories of annotations. You can have object model annotations. You will have end user annotations. You will have the authorization annotations, and you will have analytics annotation, which we will use for BW. And you will also have ABAP catalog annotations. And SQL view name belongs to ABAP catalog annotation category. And you will see that the name is in the single quotes. You'll have to put that name. This name, you can provide any name you want. So this is not a system given name. You have to give the name. So this is a user given name for the custom CDS views. For standard CDS views, of course, SAP has already decided the name. It has to be different. The SQL view name has to be different from the CDS view name. And like any dictionary view, the length is 16 characters, of course. Now, if you want to decide which one should I use in my select clause, of course, you should always go for the CDS view, not your SQL view. It is not recommended and it is obsolete since NetWeaver 7.5. Supported with classical and new syntax SQL view, and it is only possible with new syntax. If you want to use the CDS view, you have to use the new syntax, and this is the one which is recommended for your select clause, and not fully supported before release 7.5, example in joins with DB tables. So if you have release 7.54 or 7.3 for the NetWeaver ABAP, then you will have some limitations when you use the CDS view. Okay, it's not fully supported in all the languages, in all the scenarios. But if you have 7.5 or above, all the functionalities, complex joins, expressions, annotations, everything you will be able to do in the CDS view. So you have to know the syntax of the CDS view. The syntax starts with define view. the keyword which starts a CDS view is define view, and then you'll put the view name, and then you will say as select from. Okay, I think this is wrong. This is not correct. Probably this is an older screenshot. You should write select from the table or from another CDS view first. Then you will put the names. Okay, so it's like this. So if you see an actual CDS view, it will be define view first. If it has any parameters, you will define some parameters. As define view as select from the table. First, you will define the table, which table or which CDS view you are trying to get the data from. Then you will define all your joins, left outer join if you have, association if you have. And finally, once you have defined your source table, you have defined your all the joins and associations, then within the curly brackets, you will write the fields. So fields come at the end. First, you will define the table. First, you will define the joins and then associations and then finally your fields. So it should be, this is not correct. It should be define view, view name, CDS view name as select from scar, and then within curly brackets, car ID, car name, currency code, URL, etc. Okay. And these are of course annotations. SQL view annotation is mandatory. That's why they are showing that annotation. And this is the syntax for CDS view. Again, this is, I told you, this is just a select query. It's a complex select query. That's all it is. What they are doing is select from table, put your joins, put your associations, and then finally put your fields. Now, while you are putting a field, you can put field level annotations also. These are field level annotation. Okay. And then this is your view level annotation. So at the top of the view, the entire view is this annotations will be applicable. These are field level annotations applicable only to the fields which follows the annotation. Okay. So that is the difference between field annotations and your view annotations. Like transaction currency, currency code. If you want to define a field as an amount field, you have to define this @ semantics annotation, which you will say this is an amount field, and it is also associated with the currency code. And which field identifies the currency code? Transaction currency identifies this is the name of the field. Transaction currency will be the currency code associated with this amount field. So that means there will be something called transaction currency as a field, which is available here. So if you do a Control C, Control F, transaction currency, transaction currency, transaction currency, everything is, these are all currency and amount field. And wherever you will see the actual field name as transaction currency, you will see that it will be there. This is your transaction currency. So they have defined the transaction currency, this field, as the currency. Okay. Foreign association is there with this is an association. This is another CDS view, I think, with the underscore. All the association have an underscore as a best practices naming convention. So this is a transaction currency defined. So they have defined this as the currency. So you will see here @ semantics currency code true. Okay, is there. So this is the semantics which is identifying this field as a currency field. Similarly, for the statistics currency, transaction currency, the currency code true will be defined, and this field you can then associate with an amount field with the currency code. So these are called field level annotations to give property to the field, and these are giving properties to the entire CDS view. Okay, that's what it is shown here, annotations. So these are view annotations, and these are called field annotations or element annotations. Now element annotations also, they are saying that it can be before the element, before the field, or it can be after the field also. If it is after the field, then it has to be @ and then the less than equal to sign. But if it is before the field, you don't need any less than equal to sign. It is just with the @ symbol before the actual field. Okay, if you want to write inline annotation, that's also possible. That means right in front of your field, then you will write @ annotation, and after that you will put the comma. Here the comma is right after the field name, but if you are putting the annotations with the field name, then the comma will come after your annotations ends. Okay. So what is an annotation? It enriches the definition with the metadata, starts with an @ It may be related to a complete view or the elements. Okay, it can also be connected to parameters. If you have parameters, just like we had input parameters for CV, you can provide annotations for parameters also. Most of the annotations are optional except for this guy, which is SQL view name. SQL view name is an exception, meaning it's a mandatory parameter, mandatory annotation, because every CDS view will generate a SQL view. So you have to provide a name for the SQL view. A CDS annotation enriches a data definition. We already saw that. Inline is @ and then less than equal to. If it is not inline, it's just before the element, it is just @ View annotations and element annotations. Okay, so this is fine. SAP is a set of predefined SAP annotations. So whenever you create a CDS view, SAP will already put some basic necessary CDS view annotations, but they are all optional. The only mandatory one will be your SQL view name. Okay, and then we will deal with associations a little bit later. When we will actually join the tables, then I will show you what does association mean. But for now, there is enough theory. Let me see, what do we have next? Yeah, only association is left. Okay, so we'll deal with associations in a little bit. Now let's jump to the system and then create some CDS views. Okay. All right. So I'm in the system now and we are creating ABAP CDS views. Okay. In S4HANA system, not in BW4HANA, in S4HANA system. So what I will do is I will first create a package for our batch, which I've already created, zdeb_bw_bt2. This was for batch 1. This is for batch 2. I have created a new package so that everything I keep it in one single place for this batch. Now, first thing, what do we do? What is that first object which is required to create a CDS view? Arpan, are you there? Arpan, can you hear me? I don't think he's there. How about BJ? BJ, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear
yes.
me?
Yes, BJ. Yes, yes. Go ahead. So what is the first thing I have to do? What is that first object which we create for CDS view?
DDL file.
Exactly. So you will just right click on that, which is your code base. So you will say new, and I don't see my DDL, the capital D I don't see. So I will just say other repository object and just type core. The moment you type core, a folder with core data services will pop up, and there you will see your authorization, access control, CDS views, annotation definition, other CDS views, behavior. I don't know what is this. I have never used this. This is the one which we are primarily concerned with, data definition. So you click on this D, data definition, click on next. Then you give the package is already the package because I have right clicked on that package. I'll give the name ZI_BW_sales header BT2. Okay. So what is the length? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay. So we are well within the 30 characters limit. So this is the name of the CDS view, not the SQL view. So this is the name of CDS view for BT2. Then what I will do is, in fact, BW also I don't require. I'll just write this ZI sales header BT2. So what we'll do is we'll create a CDS view for header and we'll again create a CDS view for item. So we created the standard data sources for header and item. Same thing we'll try to replicate in CDS views. So I'll give this name. Let's keep this name handy with us. Okay. Give the description. I'll just give transaction data. This is transaction data and this is a sales header. So I'll give this. If you want a reference object, you can give that. But for now, we are creating from scratch. So click on next. And then you will have a transport request. So I already have a transport request. So I'm going to choose that. If you don't have, you can create a fresh one. And now we are given some templates. So already SAP gives us some skeleton code and annotations for us to, get a head start, or at least know the syntax of what we have to follow. So we have different templates. So we have a simple template where we will use only one data source. So you cannot do a join in that. You'll just do with one. Then you have defined root view, specialized annotation to a child view. So if you want a parent-child kind of a specialized relationship between two CDS view, you will use this. Entity to parent association. If you want specialized associations, there are specialized associations. You can see here we have specialized associations for a parent. Again, these ones I have not used yet, so not sure how exactly they work, but you have that option here. Then you have the define view. Okay, this is view entity. Okay, and this is define view, simple view, and this is view entity. So you will see here we have some object model here, service quality, size category, and define view entity is there. Okay, instead of a define view, just an entity which is defined as simple CDS view entity with one data source. This is view with one data source. I'm not sure exactly what's the difference between entity and view. I have always used define view, which is a simple one, or with a join. If you want to select multiple tables, or if you want to join with another CDS view, then you will go with join. Then you have association. If you want the association instead of the join, then you can go with that. Again, the parent association with parameters. If you want to parameterize your CDS view, you have this template there. Then you have a projection, simple projection view. Again, this is an entity, not a regular CDS view. This is a view entity with a simple as projection on. So this is again, I haven't used this much. Extend view, yes, this is important. So if you have to extend your CDS views, you will use another CDS view of type extension CDS views, or which is also called extend CDS views, which will extend your original CDS view. Okay, so you can use that. Then you have extend view entity. If you have created a CDS view of type entity, then you can extend that as well. Then we have table functions, CDS table functions with parameter, abstract entity, I don't know what is that. Then define parent child hierarchy, and some custom entity with parameters. So there are different templates you will use for different client requirements. What I have worked is usually three of them. One is the define view, which is a simple view with one source, or with join and association, or with your extend view. These are the 3 or 4 types of views you will most frequently work with. But there are other functions as well for different client requirements. So for now, what we will do is we will use simple view, which is your define view. So define the simple CDS view with only one data source. So we are going to create a simple CDS view, which will take the data, which will take the columns from only the header related fields. We will take from the standard CDS view. So we are creating a ZCDS view, which is based on one data source, and that single data source is a standard CDS view. That's what we're going to do. Okay. So we'll say define view. Yeah. Okay. So then we'll click on finish. Now you will see that there will be some annotations which are already added by the SAP. These are some recommended most frequently used annotations. Like for the first one is of course the SQL view, right? SQL view is blank. That means we have to provide the name for the SQL view. So what I will do is I will copy this. I'll put it here. And instead of ZI, I'll just say V, ZV. I'll just remove this BT2. So this is going to be our SQL view name. We'll keep that handy also. So this is our CDS view, and this is our SQL view, corresponding SQL view. Okay, I'm removing underscore. I just want to keep the naming convention in a way that I can easily understand that whether this is a SQL view or this is a CDS view. I'm keeping underscores in CDS view and no underscores in SQL view, but it's the naming convention is completely up to you. Just make sure that the maximum limits are respected. That's all. Then there are some other annotations like compare filter equals to true. This is used when you use path expressions with associations. And if you have a where condition on that path expression, then the filter has to be compared or not in the compiler. So don't worry about that. You can leave it as it is. Preserve key equals to true, meaning if you are using a database table and the database table has keys, then the key will be respected when you do a select from that database, and it will be checked whether the key fields have any duplication or any redundancy or not. So it will respect the key fields of the database table which you are using. Again, you can leave it as it is, or you can remove it also. These are not mandatory. This one is a mandatory annotation. Then you have access control authorization check. By default, the check is activated, meaning whenever you will define the role based on this particular CDS view, or you will create the access control CDS views, then the authorization will be checked automatically. So we can leave it as it is for the best practice. And then the description of the CDS view. The description of the CDS view is with the end user text label. Okay, so we will have end user text dot label, and then this is the description I gave while creating the CDS view. That is taken at for this particular annotation. So this is the description. Same description you can give for fields also. So for field, if you want to provide a specific description, then you can use the same end user text dot label annotation. Now let's create our CDS view. So again, as I told you, the starting point is define view. That is the keyword. Then the name of your CDS view. Then as select from the data source name. So first the source comes, and then within the curly brackets, we will write our field names. So as I told you, here you can write a table. Say for example, if you want VBAK, you can write that easily. There is no stopping. You can use directly a table, or you can use another CDS view also, which we are going to do. So now I want to check what are the CDS views available for sales document, for example. So all the CDS views which are provided by SAP, they belong to one of the three categories. What are the three categories? First category is the basic view. Second category is interface view. Third category is consumption view. So basic view will most likely, I think, start with B. The interface view will start with I, and the consumption view will start with C. Basic views we don't use directly. We should always use the interface views, because interface views will give you the combination of the basic views, meaning say for example, if I have a dimension as my basic CDS view and another fact as my another basic view, and then the interface view combines the dimension and facts. So you will find your fields, most relevant fields and the most frequently used fields which you will require for your reporting, either in the interface standard CDS views or your consumption standard CDS views. So as I told you, interface CDS views will start with I, so we are going to use that. You can also write, you can also use consumption CDS views, but I am interested in only checking the interface CDS views, because consumption is more, geared towards the actual consumer. So for example, OData, if it is OData specific, then OData related annotations will be there. If it is BW specific, it will be annotations will be there accordingly, but I don't want that right now. I just want to deal with the interface CDS views. Okay. So that's why I've given also the name ZI, because I'll be using a standard I CDS view. So what you can do is, if you want to check what are the standard CDS views available, either it can be interface or consumption or basic, there are two ways. Within the editor, the DDL source file editor, you can say I underscore and then press control space. As I told you, in the native Eclipse editor, control space is your big friend there. Okay. And you can use that to see what are the CDS views available, starting with whatever letter you type. So in our case, it is I underscore interface CDS views. We have all these CDS views available. And now I'm going to type sales, then press control space. Then all the CDS views and its definition will also come. So the tooltip will give you the definition. So say for example, I want to check this guy, sales area. you can see that what are the different columns, what are the key fields from the different columns, and what are the associations with different other CDS views. So which are nothing but join. And then the client dependency is there, client session variable is used, so on and so forth. So this is the first way. Second way to check the CDS views is Control Shift A. Okay, open ABAP development object, and you have to make sure that the project selected here is an ABAP project. You will see BW project is not shown here because we are dealing with ABAP CDS views and they reside in the ABAP repository. That's why you have to connect to an ABAP project. So it can be a BW ABAP project or S4. We are right now dealing with S4. So make sure you select your project appropriately, and then you can say I_sales. Here also all the sales related I_sales related CDS views will be shown to you, and then you can have access control, data definition. This is actual CDS view. This is a access control CDS view, so on and so forth. So we are interested. So I will close this. So these are two ways. So I'm going to do from here. So I'll just say sales document. Let's see if we have something. Yeah. So we have sales document where we have all the fields. We have sales document basic, which has also all the fields. I think sales document might be using the sales document basic. Let's see if we have header, something called header. Okay. So nothing. So specifically for header, they have not given. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the sales document itself. Okay, so I'm going to use this. So you can double click on it, and now I_sales document is your single source where you're tracking all the data. Now our source is ready, but now I have to define my fields. So I don't know what fields are there. Of course, I saw it in the tooltip. So if you again want to go back to tooltip, click on this and press F2. F2 option on the keyboard will also give you the different fields available in that particular CDS view. So either you can manually type this, okay, whatever fields you need. This has huge field list and associations also. So either you can manually type it, or easier ways, again, control space. So you click your cursor inside the curly brackets and press control space, which is going to give you the field name, or it will tell you insert all elements. So I'm going to choose the insert all elements, which is going to insert all the associations and all the fields. And now I can choose, pick and choose which fields I want. It has also given me key field because the I_sales document has sales document number as the key fields. So let's remove the unnecessary one. So I need document, yes. I need category, document type, processing type I don't need, last change, creation date, creation time also I don't need, last changed date. Yeah, I can keep last change date. Let me remove this one. Okay, last change date and time. This I will use for my delta recognition. So I'm going to keep this. Customer contact date I don't need. Distribution channel, yes. Division, yeah, I can keep this. Or maybe not. Division I don't need. Sales group, sales office, yeah. Sold to party definitely I need. This is my customer. Customer group I don't need. Credit control area, sales document date, no. Document reason I need. Remember reason, because we will change the reason and then we will see if the delta is being picked. So I'm going to keep the reason, AUGRU field. All these are unnecessary. I'm going to remove this. Binding, sales document, contract. Okay, I'm going to remove all this. Net amount. See, we have the key figures also here, but I don't need key figures because this is the header data. Okay, so conditions also I don't require all this. Shipping type, Incoterms, delivery block. No, these are all. Billing document date. No, I'm going to keep it simple actually. So we don't need this. Fiscal year, fiscal period, yes, they are important because we should have at least some time related fields so that we can identify the period and the year. Exchange rate type, all those are again unnecessary. Cost center you can keep if you want, but I'm going to still keep it simple. Cost center, I'm removing it. Release, next shipping, reference, overall. Yeah, I think all unnecessary. Yeah. So I have removed all the fields, only the limited fields, just to keep it simple for the demonstration. Sales document is our key, document category we have, document type we have, last change date we have, and last change date and time we have. We don't need last change date if we have last change date and time, so you can get rid of that also if you want. Sales organization, but I'm keeping both the format. One is date format, one is the timestamp format, so we can see both of them. Sales organization is there, distribution channel, sold to parties, my customer, SD document reason, fiscal year, fiscal period. Yeah, I think this is enough. Associations I don't need right now. We are not dealing with associations, which we will deal with later on. Associations. So I've done this. Okay. So I have my define view as my CDS view name, as select from the standard CDS view, and then I have chosen the fields which I need for my purposes. Okay. No special annotations. I'm not doing any special annotations right now. We will look at it as we go along our journey of CDS view. So right now I'm going to start from a very simple CDS view. So we'll do a Control S to save it, and then Control F2 to check if there are any errors, syntax errors. ABAC syntax check contains no errors, which is good. And now we will do a Control F3 to activate. So now I'm activating the CDS view. So what's happening in the backend? What are the two artifacts being created? The SQL view is being created and the CDS view is being created. So if you expand this here, you will have a CDS view and you will have a SQL view. If you want to do a data preview from this, just right click and actually you can right click here and open with. Okay, so in the DDL source file, you can right click and you can say open with data preview. If you want to do a data preview, let me see if this option is there. Open with, yeah, it is also there in the CDS view. So anything is fine. So either you can do it in the DDL source file or you can do it in a CDS view, the data preview. So you click on that and at real time, this is bringing you records. Okay. And from where it is bringing records? From the SQL view. See, when you do data preview, it is bringing you data from the SQL view. If you see the show log, click on the show log. If you want to see the generated SQL statement, which got generated in the backend, so you can see that this SQL is getting generated from select this, ZI sales header BT2, ZI sales header BT2 from what? From your ZI sales header BT2, which is a CDS view, and in the backend it is connected to your SQL view. And here you can see associations. This, if we don't have associations right now, but if you have associations, you can also click on this small arrow and it will show you the list of associations, or you can right click on this and follow association also. So if you have association identified or created, then you can do association. But right now it's a very simple one. We have all the sales document. We have the document category. Now, where is this taking data from? This is not taking data from setup tables anymore. This is actually going to your VBAC table or whatever tables defined in the standard CDS view. Okay, here, and it is getting the data at runtime. So this is a virtual real-time access for the CDS view. If you want to check the definition of this particular CDS view, where it's getting data from, click here, then you do right click and say navigate to, or you can press F3 also. So there you will go inside the standard CDS view and you will see a lot of annotations are put there. So don't worry about that. Now I want to check which table it is taking data from. So this is define view as select from another sales document basic. See, sales document is taking data from sales document basic. So let's navigate there. Then in the sales document basic, it is selecting data from VBAK, your main sales header table. This is one way. You can navigate to the base table, or what you can do is you can also say open with or here in the CDS view, open with your dependency analyzer. If you want to check the base tables, then you click on dependency analyzer. You can also click on, there are all different things like graph, dictionary log, active annotations, how many annotations are there, things like that. But this one is basically to give you that lineage, data lineage. So our CDS view is based on this SQL view. This SQL view is created and or associated with this particular CDS view. Okay, access control is there. No, it's not there. Then you have the ISD sales doc, which is the I sales document, which is standard CDS view. The SQL view associated with the standard CDS view is this guy. Then again, it is using another CDS view, which is basic. The SQL view associated with that is this one. And finally, you have the database table. So if your object type is database table, that means this is the final end table used by this guy. And then with this particular CDS view is using VBKD and VEDA also. So basically, whatever data preview you are getting, okay, here, it's a combination of VBAK, VBKD, and VEDA. So this is the overall, this is the same functionality as our data source. Our data source combines different tables in the backend and finally gives a data in a form of a extract structure, and then you get that and replicate that in BW. Same thing the CDS view does. It takes the different tables, combines it together, and then it does the data preview in the real time, and then you can replicate that in BW side and start using them. Okay. Okay. So this is so we
point,
just one second, hold on. So we created a CDS view, simple CDS view, and the CDS view is taking the data from a standard CDS view, and we have put some fields which we require. And now what we'll have to do is, our CDS view is ready. The next step is, so our data source source is ready. The source for the data source is ready. Data source is not created, but the source CDS view for the data source is created. So now we have to create the data source. And where do we create the data source? We will create the data source at BW side. So we'll quickly take a 10 minutes break. People who want to ask some questions, they can stay back. We'll quickly take a 10-minute break. It's 9:48 now. Let's come back at 10 o'clock my time. So then we will continue with the BW side of the equation. Right now we have created the CDS view in S4. Now we will use this CDS view and we will see how a data source is created on top of this CDS view. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, questions?
Devansh, Srini here.
Yes, Srini.
Yeah, one like the best use of the extractor, like whatever SAP provides, right, 11, 12, 13, 02 extractors, it has like so much of business logic embedded in that. But if we are trying to build the CDSV according to that, are we not rewriting everything from the scratch, like in a sequence? It's a very cumbersome process, right? In what circumstances we create these CDSVs? That's my first question. And the second one is, where does this OData services come into picture?
Okay. So answer to your first question is, you don't have to rewrite the logic. SAP has done that heavy lifting or the code for you. So there are standard CDS views, which are cube CDS views. Like for example, when we were doing this, so Control Shift A if you press, okay, and I say Sales Analytics Cube, right? This is one of the cube CDS view. And if you see cube CDS views, it is a very complex CDS view, which will have multiple tables and multiple CDS views associated with the main CDS view source, which is this one. And you don't have to worry about rewriting that entire code. So that's why I'm saying, please don't start from scratch. Start by using a standard CDS view in your Z CDS view. First of all, you should not directly use the standard CDS view. Okay, don't do that. The best practice is create a Z CDS view by selecting the appropriate standard either interface or your consumption CDS view for your Z, just like I did. What I did was I created a Z CDS view, but I am using the standard CDS view, because all the logic of the extractor is already done here. I'm using a very basic one, but if you go to the cubes CDS view, it is very complex and it mimics the same behavior what the function module used to do for the extractor. So you don't have to rewrite the code.
Is it similar to HANA Live or virtual data model?
Yes, as I told you, it is nothing but a CV in ABAP layer, but it can do much more than a calculation view. Okay, HANA Live is nothing but your calculation view, and then one calculation view is used in another calculation view, then another calculation view is in another calculation view, right? That's what was HANA Live. Same thing is here, one CDS view, another CDS view, another CDS view, hierarchy of CDS view. But the annotations are added. In CV, you cannot add annotations. Then it is the authorization is seamlessly integrated with the ABAP layer. In HANA CV, it is not possible. Then transport layer is seamlessly integrated. HANA CV, you have to do a lot of additional steps to enable ABAP with HANA CV, but here it is seamlessly integrated. Complex expressions you can write. CV also complex expressions is possible. Association you can write. In CV, if you want, there is something called dynamic join. You have to check that and work with it. But here with simple association, it works beautifully. So yes, it is same as your HANA Live, but much more than a HANA Live.
Where do we find the list of all these SAP provided ICB?
Just do a Google type of SAP standard CDS views, or I can also share the link. I think I have it. Let me see. CDS, BW for HANA, BW for HANA version, CDS annotation, CDS views.
Devanshu, any mapping with the standard extractors to the standard CDS view?
Maybe you have to do a Google search. I don't have that with me. Like you want that this extractor is replaced by this particular CDS view?
Yeah.
So what you can do for that is go to the BI content. Okay. So if you go to the BI content in the material, topic material, BI content, look for CDS view based flow. Okay. If you have a CDS view based flow, you will find the CDS view associated with the standard data source. If you don't have CDS view associated, then that particular module is not released for CDS views. So if I have, I don't know if it will find, no, it's not finding. So here, in some of the modules, you will find that we have simplified logic with CDS views. Maybe for plant maintenance, you'll just do a find here. For plant maintenance, as an example, you will see that they have given both the flows. One will be the regular flow, which with the regular, data source. And the second one will be with the CDS view. Okay, I have to find which module has it, but check for plant maintenance. I think plant maintenance they have released for success factors. Okay, maybe this is something else. So check for that. There you will find that, okay, for this module, this is the CDS view which is released for this particular extractor which replaces it. But if you don't find it here, that means most likely it is not yet released. Please understand that not all standard extractors are released for CDS view. Only very gradually and incrementally SAP is releasing CDS views. And
so like Devanshu, you told like for sales header.
Yeah, one second. For CDS view, there is an SAP help link. I can share this link with you, which has CDS view for all the modules and also for lines of business. Like for example, for cross line of business, for asset management, for finance, you have CDS views. For financial operations, financial accounting, for treasury, you have. For cost and profitability analysis, for HR, you have. For sales, you have, so on and so forth. As I said, don't expect all the modules under this because incrementally they are releasing. So whatever module is there, you will find the CDS view for that. And if you want to find the data source specific CDS views, then you have to go to this BI content document, the latest version, and get that. Yeah, someone go ahead.
What about the OData services, Devansh?
Oh yeah, OData services. So where the OData services is used, the OData services is used when you want to publish the CDS view to a Fiori tile. Say for example, anything which is web based or HTML UI5 based, it needs OData in the backend. And there are special annotations which will, again, it will make the Fiori tile able to read the CDS view. So you have to write an annotation which I think is called odata.publish is equal to true. If you say odata.publish is true, then the Fiori tile or the UI5 web-based tool can read the CDS view. Well, a very most frequently used use case is Fiori tiles. So in your S4 HANA or your BW4 HANA, if you want a tile to read a CDS view and show you data from there, then you have to put the annotations for OData in the CDS views.
Okay.
Thank you, Devansh.
And Devanshu, for sales header, you told like this CDS view I underscore sales.
No, this is not for sales header. See, I am using only the header specific fields for my sales header, but the CDS view which I used is not just for header. You saw that there was net amount also. There was some key figures also. So it basically is a combination of your characteristics and key figures, both. They have not specifically given for sales header. There's nothing like that. I tried to find it, but we didn't have it.
Okay. Okay.
And is there any difference between CDS, the one which you showed, the cube one, by standard?
Yes, there's a slight difference there. Let me first put in the chat window. Where's my chat window? There it is. So this is the link for the CDS views for different modules within S4. Yeah, so difference between cube and standard is basically the cube CDS view will generate a transient provider, and the transient provider can be used for your queries. That is the functionality of cube CDS views. And then we also have query CDS views, which will give you the analytic queries, which you can again use directly in your reports, or you can use it in your Fiori tiles. So these are different types of CDS views, which has different functionality and different usage. And based on the annotation, you will differentiate between a cube versus a standard versus a query CDS view. So I will tell you the difference between cube and analytic when we will discuss the statistics. Okay, the BI statistics. There I will show you what is the difference between a cube CDS view and a query CDS view, because both are used for two different purposes. One is used for transient providers, generating transient providers, and the other one is used to generate analytic queries.
So this type, like the cube one, it will be like a live connection. I mean,
everything will be alive. All CDS views will be live. But
yeah, but
the cube one will have additional capabilities, and this additional capability is the transient provider. It generates a transient provider, which you can use it as a regular BW provider for queries. You can create directly queries on the transient provider.
yeah, exactly. So those query will be my live data, will show me the live data, right?
That's right. That's right. That's exactly what I'm going to show you when we will discuss the statistics, BI statistics.
Transient provider earlier we had in 7.3, 7.4.
Yes.
Is it similar to that?
No, these transient providers are based on CDS views. Previously, transient providers had nothing to do with CDS views.
Yeah,
That's different.
I remember
That's different. That is deprecated now. Transient providers of the past has been replaced by OpenODS views.
Okay.
And the second question is when we're selecting the template,
yes,
the view and the view entity, there was some message, warning message on the above, like this is some version, something like that.
Where
when you're creating the CDS view and selecting the template provided by SAP in that window.
Oh, you mean in this window?
No, if you just try to create a new one.
Okay.
Yeah, here. So if you select the entity one, I think it will pop up some message. The other one, which we have selected.
This one?
No, if you go the,
Down?
yeah, yeah.
We have selected this one, define view.
We, so there were another view, which is, if you go down, yeah, extended view entity. So there was message some use template, use features which are
Selected
not
template uses feature which are not yet supported. No, you can ignore this. This is just a warning message.
okay, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
No worries.
Devansh, we can create this in ABAP modeler, right? We are doing this in BW modeler.
Yeah, you can do it in ABAP development perspective, or you can also do in BW modeling perspective. That's fine. Both will allow you to use the CDSU as long as you are working with your ABAP project. So if you have an ABAP project, then perspectives both ADT will also allow that, BW modeling tools will also allow that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Devan, so like
Last question, guys. Okay. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I somehow missed like how we selected this I_sales document. Can you just repeat that?
Sure. So the way we selected identical sales document is that suppose it was blank, right? There was nothing here. It was like this, as select from. So now what I did was I did I underscore, because I know that all interface CDS views will start with I underscore. And then I press control space. When I press control space, everything is available. So now I will further restrict it. So I know I am dealing with sales. So I will further restrict it with sales, underscore sales. Now I know I want the sales document header. So I'll just write the document. So then it will populate only sales document. And then I will put header. I also tried to put header, but nothing was there specifically for header. So I went back to only sales document, and with sales document, I'm using the fields here. The way I identify the fields is again control space, insert all elements. So you press control space, there is something called insert all elements. I check that and I remove the unnecessary ones. Okay. All right. So coming back to the main class, let's continue. So let me activate it once again just to make sure everything is fine and activated. We did the data preview also. So now everything is ready. I'm going to close everything to the right. Okay. So my CDS view is ready. Now I have to create a data source. So let's create a data source on BW side. So I will go to BW side. Okay. And here in the data source, okay, what I'm going to do is we have the ABAP CDS views, ODP source system of type ABAP CDS views. Okay. Here I have two systems. One is the self BW CDS views and one is S4HANA CDS view. So I will right click on this one and I'll say new, I will say data source. Either you can do that, it's going to go into nodes not connected application component, or if you know that, okay, this particular application component I want, I don't want to go to nodes not connected. This is sales and you want to create another one under sales, you can do that, or you can right click on it and also you can say data source. It is one and the same thing. So we'll click on the sales and we'll do data source. And now we have the source system of type ODP CDS from S4HANA, it's taking the data from, and the source system type is ODP. So we are using the ODP framework we are using, but we will not, you will see we will not use the ODQs. Please keep one thing in mind. If you are using ODP, that does not mean that you will automatically start using ODQs when it comes to CDS views. That is an incorrect statement. You can still use ODP without using ODQs. So that is called generic delta, not the ODQ based delta. So we'll click on next. Now we will say proposal from operational data provider. Every CDS view, okay, which has some necessary special annotations will create something called an operational data provider. And that operational data provider will have the same name as your SQL view name and a $F will be there. In the backend, SAP puts this, but from a consumption standpoint, the name of the operational data provider generated out of the CDS view will have the SQL view name. So let's Control C, save that. Copy that, click on next, and we'll try to find the SQL view. Oh, it said search completed with 0 results. Why? Why I'm not able to get that operational data provider from this CDS view?
Because this table,
I think it's not enabled annotation required for BW.
Yeah, data extraction should be enabled.
Correct, exactly. So as I told you, this guy does not know Chinese yet. I have not put that property that a Chinese guy can communicate with my CDS view. My CDS view does not know the language of BW. That's why BW is not able to read it. That's why when I created the data source, it did not find any operational data provider created out of this CDS view. That operational data provider is nothing but that Chinese property which gets generated. If you have learned the language. So in order for this CDS view to learn the language of BW system or analytics system, you need certain annotations. What are those annotations? The necessary annotation, there are two annotations which are necessary. The first one is @analytics. Every analytics, including BW, which is an analytical system, will start with analytics. And then you put a dot. When you put a dot, meaning within the analytics category, what are the different sub categories or sub annotations within this analytics category. So the two most important ones are data category first, and you have to put again control space. If you don't know the values, control space, start using control space because that's going to be your biggest friend here. And now it has aggregation level, which is connected to your BWIP planning. When you will use planning aggregation level, you can do that. There is a cube, which is generates a transient provider. There is a dimension for master data, and there is a fact for transaction data. The difference between cube and fact is this will generate the transient provider, this will not. So right now we don't want any transient provider. We want only operational data provider. See, there are two different things. A CDS view is capable of generating transient provider and is also capable of generating a operational data provider. Transient providers are used when you want to use directly in the queries. Okay. But we are not dealing with queries right now. We are dealing with the data extraction. So that's why we just need the operational data provider. That's all. And that will be generated by fact. Fact is good enough to generate a operational data provider. So we will put data analyst fact because this is a sales document, fact data. So we'll keep it that. And the second one, which is important, is again, it is also part of analytics dot control space, the data extraction. So data extraction, and then again you put a control space, data extraction enabled. I think that is the one, right? Dot enabled, if I'm not right. Yeah. So data extraction enabled should be true. That means these two properties, which is nothing but annotations, is telling BW that, okay, this guy has been trained in the language you understand. So you can easily communicate with the CDS view. So analytics.data category, fact, or if it is master data, you put dimension, or if you want transient provider generation, you put cube, or if you want aggregation level, which is BWIP, you can put the aggregation level. But right now we are doing the transaction data, which is fact. And the second one is data extraction dot enabled is true. Now you press Control S, Control F2 to make sure syntax is correct, contains no errors, good. Control F3. So it's activating my CDS view. Okay, the CDS view is activated. Good. Now what I will do is I will go back to my BW. I will go back to the ODP CDS with S4 HANA, sales, and then I'll just say right click, new data source. And it is ODP proposal from operational data provider. Yes, that's what I want. Now what I will do is I will put this SQL view name and I'll put it here. And now it is able to read the CDS view, meaning now they know each other's language and they can communicate with each other. That property I have provided to my CDS view. So click here, click on next. You can add it to favorites. I'm going to add it to favorites. Name, you can put anything, but right now the name is the same name as your SQL view. You can also just say ZDS, okay, for data source, ZDS underscore this. Description is this, transaction data sales header. Okay, the data source type is transaction data. You can also say master data, text, or transaction data. We'll keep it transaction data and then we click on finish. So I'm creating a BW data source in BW side using a CDS view operational data provider from S4HANA. So you will see here we have transaction sales header, delete duplicate data is undefined. Okay, all these properties are fine. You go to extraction. Now extraction will have ODP context, ABAP core data services, operational data provider is this, the SQL view, and semantics is transaction data fact, which is fine. Adapter is extraction from SAP by ODP. So I'm still using ODP, but we will see if it is used ODQ or not. Now in the delta process, right now by default, it says no delta, only full. Okay. So we will keep it as it is, but if you want a generic delta, then you'll have to use override delta without deletions. So this is the only option available for delta for the two annotations which we used. So the two annotations or the properties which we used for analytics provides us either full load or override delta without deletion, BW local mode. So we'll just click on full for now. And these are the fields. Okay. We'll just save it and F2 and F3, control F3 to activate. So first we'll see if the full load works fine or not. Then we will try to change it to delta. Okay. So my data source is activated. So the data source is ready now and it will be in my favorites. I don't want to navigate to the data source tree. So it will be the data source here. Our ZDS underscore, yeah, this one, okay, BT2. So this data source is now available in BW. It is created as our CDS view based data source. So, and here what you can do is you can do a data preview from here at the data source level. If you want to do what you can do is there is a data preview available, and if you click there, then you can see the data from the data source. The CDS view, it is taking the data and giving you the number of record. It is 20 here. You can increase it and then you can see the data. So there is a view called data preview for data source. In that view, without loading the data in BW in an ADSO or OpenODS view, wherever you want, you can still preview the data from the data source using the data preview for data source. So if you just click here, it will show the data preview, which will open this view and you can see the actual values of the data. Okay. So that is what you have to use if you want to see at data source level. But now we are going to create a flow. So yesterday I showed you how do you create a flow using something called DFM, data flow modeler. I'm going to use the same data flow modeler here. Okay. So someone has to guide me. Let's see if you remember. So I will pick, let's see, Prabhanjan. Prabhanjan, are you there? Can you
Yes,
hear me?
I'm here.
Yeah, please guide me now. How do I create a data flow in BW for HANA using the data source?
Devanshu, sorry to interrupt. A little confusion because you are on the BW workbench in the ABAP layer, but how does this CDS view communicates to the S4 HANA?
So using the operational data provider. Using the operational data provider, and of course the source system is of type ODP CDS with S4. it is communicating with your S4HANA CDS view in your BW for HANA. Now in BW for HANA, I am not using the ABAP for BW for HANA. I create data source using the BW project of BW for HANA.
Yeah, but you mentioned like the CDS view should be in the source system, right?
Yes, CDS view is the source system. So the source system I'm using is of type ODP CDS. That is a mandatory thing because only ODP CDS source system type understands the operational data provider language, and based on that, I created a data source in BW side. What is the confusion? I am not able to.
No, the BW workbench, like you created the CDS view under the BW for HANA.
No, here.
ABAP, right?
S for ABAP.
I think he's talking about the perspectives.
Perspective, yeah, sorry.
BW perspective and ABAP perspective.
Oh, this one. Yeah. See, you can be either in ABAP development perspective or in BW modeling perspective. Both will allow you to work with CDS views either in S4HANA or in BW for HANA, wherever you create, that's okay. But both perspectives will allow. It's not mandatory to shift perspectives if you want to work with CDS views. BW modeling perspective also understands the ADT perspectives configuration in the backend and will allow you to do that. See, if you are primarily working with only embedded analytics, then you will work purely with ABAP perspective. You don't need BW modeling perspective. But since we are dealing with BW and ABAP both, we can use BW modeling perspective to do both the things.
Okay, good.
Because BW modeling perspective will not work without ABAP perspective. If you download only BW modeling perspective without the ABAP perspective, it's not going to work because both talk to each other and both are connected with each other.
Okay, sure.
Okay, yeah. Pravanjan, sorry, go ahead.
I can't recollect the Banshu. I don't know how to get to the data modeler.
Yesterday I showed you, Pravanjan. So, okay, no problem. Let me pick someone else. Let me pick, let's see whom. How about Sendil? Are you there, Sendil?
Yes, Devanshu.
Go ahead, Sendil. How do you create a flow in BW?
I'm sorry, Devanshu. I'm not going to try now.
Come on, guys. Yesterday I showed you, and you either did not pay attention or
data source monitor. Is that what it is? Some data.
See, you got the answer. No.
We should right click and say explore data flow, something like that on data source.
Who is that?
Data flow diagram or something.
Where is data flow diagram? Where do I find it?
BW
you need to click on data source and go to the data
right click and explore data flow.
Correct. On the data source, I will right click and I will say explore data flow. This is going to be your most frequently used tool. So you have to remember this. Click on that. That will open a data flow modeler, and that data flow modeler will show you the source system and your data source. So I'll put it down here. I'll just minimize it down here. And now we will create the ADSO and the transformation and the DTP, everything from here. Okay. So first of all, I will create a data DSO of type maybe staging. We'll create staging, and then we'll also create another one which will be maybe standard. Okay. And we will create a flow from here to here, here to here. Although it is usually the daily flow will not be from here to here, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to create a staging layer and an integrated data warehousing layer, ADSOs. Okay, and then I'm going to connect this and connect this. And then I'm going to press Control F3. When I'm pressing Control F3, it is basically activating. Okay, I think I have to do save first. Okay, so info area is our info area no, what is the info area? Batch 2. So we have batch 2. Let me see. Info area. Yeah, there you go. So we have batch 2 info area. I'm selecting that. It's already added to my favorite, so I don't need to worry. Now I will save this data flow. I am just saving the flow. Okay, and activating the flow. ZDF underscore CDS underscore header or CDS underscore sales header. Sales header. So tran sales header CDS view. So I'll save this. It is saved as a new data flow. So now you will see under batch 2, okay, I will have under Z Debanshu, I have batch 2. Under that we have this data flow. Yesterday we saved this data flow. Now this is a CDS view based data flow, and I'm going to press Control F3 to activate it. This is your data flow modeler, a single place, one-stop shop to do all your modeling in BW for HANA. Okay, and this can also be a blueprint, meaning, you know, if you want a certain LSA++ layering to be followed by every developer, what you have to do is you have to create this flow without actually creating the objects, just create the flow. Okay, everything you can keep it non-persistent. Even data source you can keep it non-persistent, info source you can keep it non-persistent. Create a blueprint for the developers and then you save it in the system. It can be saved in the system. Now a new developer will not start from scratch. What he or she has to do is that they will right click on this and then they will copy it, and then they will make the objects for finance. So you can have one blueprint for finance, one blueprint for sales, one blueprint for HR, so on and so forth. Create a blueprint for developers. That will make sure that nobody is creating their own flow. Everybody is following a consistent LSA++ flow, and that's the main reason why this data flow modeler is given. Okay, and it is very seamless, very user intuitive, easy to use. It was not like this before. Data flow modeler was there in previous BW version, but it was worthless. Okay, but now in BW for HANA, it is a single point of your modeling. Okay, so I've created the flow. The data flow is also active, so which is good. Now I'm going to create the actual DSO. So I'm going to create this. I will right click on this. I'll say create data store advanced, create a DSO. Now it's going to ask me the name. So the name is, I'll keep ZS, SY staging layer, ZS underscore SD HDR2, say for example. And then we will create tran sales header as description. We'll keep it consistent. Data source template is already taken. How it's taken? Because of this connectivity. I already connected this before, right? So data source template is already taken. ZS SD HDR2. Do we have that DSO? Maybe we don't have. But we'll check. If it is there already, then it will give me an error. So we'll click on finish. Okay, so it's not there. Okay, so we will keep this as staging layer. Okay, so it says keys are defined, explicit keys will be deleted, which is fine. How did it get all the keys and all? From my data source template, because the data source is based on CDS view, which had a key field called sales document. So it took, because of the template, it took this. So I'm not going to keep this. I'm going to keep it as my staging layer. Fine, keys will be deleted. That's fine. And I will also do compressed data. So I want to show you the functionality of compressed data, meaning my active table will be there and my inbound table will be there. No change log. Change log will not be there. Compress only has active table and your inbound table. So I'll keep it compressed data. And then we'll go to the details. So we have key fields, we have non-key fields. So I will clean it up a little bit. So I'll just say key fields, and these are my characteristics. Okay. So you can change the name of the groups. These are called grouping for the fields. It has no impact on performance, by the way. It is just for proper organization of the fields. So non-key fields. Then you can also add a group. You can say it is time. Okay. Time. And then under time, you can put your fiscal year and your posting period. Okay. So I'll put it under time so that the time letters are separate. And then you have document category, last name, folder body. Okay. So everything else is same. I'll do Control S to save it, and then Control F3 to activate it. So now I'm activating my first layer staging ADSO of type compressed data. Okay, what does it say? Data store is not consistent. Data store key definition. Oh, key definition. So because I have put inbound table and active table needs keys. So we'll click on manage keys and same sales document. I'll put it as my key and Control S again to save and Control F3 to activate. Okay, so I'm activating my first layer staging ADSO of type compress. Okay, so my ADSO is ready, successfully activated, cannot be added as a part provider. Yes, composite provider, it cannot be added, which is fine. I don't need to worry about that right now. So now my first layer is ready. The background turned to blue. And then the second one, I will create it as my, again, ADSO, but this time I will create it ZD underscore SD header HDR2. I think the name is already taken, but let's see. Again, the same we can give. D means it is a integrated data warehousing layer. So you can keep S for staging, you can keep D or I for integrated data warehousing layer, anything is fine. And then we have this ZS. Do you want to copy this from this? Why it said copy? Because again, it's a connection I have done. So it is taking that. I can keep it as it is, which is fine. I want to copy it from it. That means all the fields and everything will be copied. Only thing is I have to, yeah, here also I have to define key. Key is already defined here. So key will also be required here because this is going to be a standard. See, the name is already taken. Okay, so I will do I for integrated data warehousing layer. Okay, and we'll say finish. And it will create the same inbound table with compress because we are copying it from here. But now we are going to change it to standard ADSO and we'll write the change log, which is fine. Then in the details, everything is going to be the same. No change I want here. Keys, just want to make sure, yes, keys is intact. And I'll just do a Control S and Control F3.
So Devanshu, like this is a field based, right? So this will never contain a many master data characteristic, correct?
That's right. That's right. These two ADSOs are pure field based for now. Okay, just for demonstration purposes. Okay. Correct, you're right. So these are field based. Now this turned blue, so we are good. Now we have to do transformation. So we'll quickly create the transformation 1:1. I don't want any special rules right now. We'll deal with the transformation when we will actually go into ADSOs and transformation. But now we want to check the delta functionality and the full functionality. So everything is fine. I don't need to change anything. We have 1:1 mapping with everything. Technical rules is record mode is this, right? Record mode is constant, which is fine. I think no change I want here. And then we are going to create the DTP. Yeah. So then we are going to create a DTP for this. Create a DTP. Okay. Next, everything is fine. Taken from the template, the connection. This is fine. I'm just going fast here because we just want to see the functionality, and that's all. Okay, so it is a full mode. Why it is a full mode? Because our data source does not allow the delta. So I'll just press Control F3 to activate it. Okay, so it's activated. So I can go back. Now this one, again, I'll create the transformation here. Okay, everything is fine. Rules are going to be 1:1, which is fine. Technical 0 record mode to 0 record mode, which is fine. Control F3. Okay. So our transformation is ready. The final last thing is the DTP. We click on OK. Next. This is all fine. Excuse me. And here it is allowing me full or delta, definitely, because I can have full or delta both from the DTP, but because my source ADSO is basically a compress, that means it will have inbound table and active table, and once it is an active table, then it cannot give me delta, right? So then how will it work? We will see that. So I'm going to create it, keep it as delta, not full, sorry, delta. Okay. So now a logical question can be, in the compress, okay, what happens is it goes to inbound table, and then when it activates or when it compresses nothing but is activation. It goes from inbound table to active data table. Now in active data table, there is no request ID field, there is no packet ID field, there is no record field. Then how will this delta work? Because that delta will now have to take data from active table, and how will it identify the delta when there is no request ID? So can it work is my question.
Loaded requested time based on the loaded requested timestamp.
There is no timestamp field. We have not added any timestamp field. So how will this work? Okay, let's see. Okay, so now we are ready. Our data flow is ready. I have activated data flow also. So this is my staging ADSO of type inbound table, but compress. Compress means it goes to active data table and it will be deleted from the inbound table. And then I have a delta. So this is full, this is delta. But I don't know how will the delta work. So we'll see how the delta works. So now what I'll do is, first thing is I will display this DTP, right click, display this DTP and run it. So this is a full mode. So how many records it should bring? The same records which we saw from the this one, which we saw in the CDS view. How many records were there in the CDS view, guys? 55 something?
Yeah, 55.
Let's see. Open with data preview. 55 rows. Okay. So now what we'll do is we'll run the DTP. We will execute in background, execute an open monitor. And this opens up my BW Fauna cockpit by default as usual. And that brought 55 data records for me. Okay. And if you expand the header, you will see that this is a full mode. So that's why there is no delta or delta in it. This is a full mode from the CDS view based data source into my inbound table. Right now, if you go to manage request, if you click on manage request, you can see where it is right now. So this manage request will show you that it is still there in the inbound table. Now, does it allow you to change the data like PSA?
No.
Why do you say no?
Because you said for staging the staging layer ADSO, so inbound table will not allow us to edit.
No, that's not what I said. I said if the staging ADSO only has one table,
okay, sorry.
Then it will not allow. Here, how many tables we have?
2 tables. Yeah.
So you can you see that change request data activated here?
No.
You can't see on my screen?
Change request data.
Bottom right. I'm
activate
highlighting that.
Yeah.
Activate, delete and change request data. If you have this option, change request data, meaning you can edit the data as a PSA, similar to PSA. Okay. So do not think that staging ADSOs cannot allow. It can allow when it has more than one table. So if it is compress or if it is reporting enabled, there are 3 options in my staging ADSO. What are the 3 options? The 3 options are inbound table. Let me open it. Inbound. Sorry. Let me open the ADSO. So you can open everything, ADSO, transformation, everything from here. So we have three options: inbound queue only, that means only one table; compressed data, that means only two table; and reporting enabled, also two table. So both compressed data and reporting enabled will allow you to edit the data. Inbound table only will not allow you to do it. Same thing for standard. Standard, if you have, it will always allow, because it is always having two tables. It can have two or three tables. If you click on this write changelog, it will have three tables, but changelog is optional now, which is a change from our previous BW versions. Previously, you could not choose whether you want changelog or not. By default, DSO will have changelog. But in an advanced DSO, you can choose to not have changelog. Okay. So in that case, it will be two tables. Still, it is two tables. So it will allow you. But if you choose data mart ADSO, that will not allow you. Even though it has two tables, inbound table and active data table, it will not allow you because it's a cube. It's like a cube. And cube has fact table and E table. It used to have F and E table. Same thing is here. Inbound table acts as F table and active table acts as E table, which is compressed table. And that's why, because it's a final layer, you are not allowed to edit the data at this layer. So this is the only exception of having two tables, but still not allowing you. But other than that, staging, compress will allow, reporting enabled will allow, standard will allow. Even if you don't write changelog, still it should allow. But data mart will not allow. Direct update will not allow, because direct update has only one table. Okay, we'll see the difference between all these when we'll deal in detail with ADSO. So that's why it allowed me to change the data, but I'm not changing data right now. So what I'm interested in is that I will go to manage request and I will activate the data, because it is compressed, right? So I have the option of activation of the data. So I'll activate this data. Activate.
Devanshu, what is aggregation levels in the data flow palette?
Aggregation level?
Yeah.
Aggregation level is an info provider for planning. Have you worked on BWIP?
No.
Yeah, so it's a part of the planning, BPC embedded, which is BWIP. It has aggregation level, which is the info provider on which you do planning, basically.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so it is taking some time and it failed. Okay, that's fine. Let me close this. Okay, and what we'll do is we will go to the DTP and we'll say show last request. So it will go to the DTP monitor again and it will show the last request and it will say that did it get activated or not. So we'll go to manage request to see whether it got activated or not. My guess would be probably not. Yeah, so it did not activate. So let's try it again. Okay, it's showing me the request ID. So activate because I don't require. Let's click on activate. So it's taking time. I think this will also fail, probably. Or maybe, no, maybe not. It's doing something. Okay. So this time it activated successfully. And now we'll see, let me see that. Okay. So it's loaded, it activated and it removed. Okay. And then we will see the activation request if it's successfully loaded in the activated table. So it's loaded in the activated table. Okay, and then if you want to see the records there, you can see from here or from the Eclipse also. So all the data is loaded successfully, 55 records. And now I will go here. Actually, I am a little bit surprised how did it allow us to activate? Because now if I run the delta, I have a delta here, right? So this delta, let me display DTP. Okay, now it has delta. So delta usually requires you to take data from your change log, but we don't have change log there, right? So if I run this, let's see where it picks up, whether it picks up data or not. Okay, so it picked data from. So that means this delta picked the data, all the data from the, so this must be the initialization. Yes, this is the delta initialization. Okay, so when you run the DTP for the first time, because there was no data, so that means what it did the delta initialization, not the actual delta. Now, when you do delta initialization, where will it take data from? It will take data from active table, not from change log. So it's not going to search for change log. It's going to take the active data table and put everything because it's a delta initialization. Okay, so everything here is fine. And now if I say, for example, so delta initialization is done, so data is there. So that means our data is loaded in the staging ADSO successfully in the active table, removed from inbound table, and it is loaded in my right-atomized ADSO, not right-atomized, sorry, standard ADSO, but the data is not activated. So let's activate this. So we'll do manage request and activate this so that the entire flow is populated with proper data. So we'll activate this, activate. Okay, so data is activated, activation request is generated, and we have 55 records there as well. Okay, now I want to show you before we move to delta. So full load is successfully from the CDS view, we loaded the data in the first layer ADSO, then from the first layer ADSO, we loaded into second layer ADSO. And this is a full. Okay. Now, what will happen if I load full again? Okay. And then if I run the delta, if I activate it and run the delta, now it will not go to active table. It will try to see the change log and get the delta. Right? So what will happen in that case? Can someone tell me that? So say for example, let's do this. Let's run the DTP again, the full load DTP. Okay. So we will do the execute in background again. And it will again bring 55 records. Okay, 55 records. Go to manage request. And if I activate this, it's going to go again to activated table. It's going to be removed from the inbound table. But then when I run the delta from the staging ADSO to integrated data warehousing layer ADSO, where will it get delta from? How will that work? Anyone? Any guesses?
It will just pick the last request in the previous.
How will it get request? There is no request ID in active data table. Right? Your active data table, if you see the active data table for this guy, the first layer, where is the ADSO? ZS, which is the first layer. Okay. And here I'll go to properties, go to DDIC. Your active table, display the data. Active table will not have request IDs anywhere. There is no request ID. And your inbound table is blank.
Will it pick from reporting view, Dipanshu?
One second. Why is inbound table ZS?
Because we ran the DTP.
Oh, the full one. That's why. That's why. Okay. But inbound table will be blank. Yeah, because we just ran it. That's why the inbound table is showing data. But the moment I activate it, the inbound table will be blank. So then how will it get the delta is my question.
From reporting view, is it possible, Devanshu?
Reporting view is used for reporting, not extraction.
Okay.
So since the init delta has happened
Extraction
already,
view?
it should get 0 rows, right?
Then that means that delta is not correct.
Delta is not correct.
Yeah.
So in staging ADSO, it's always full.
No, it can be delta also. Now see what will happen. I'll click on activate. What does it say? It will not allow you to activate. Why? Because it will say that already there is a delta flow on top of this. You cannot activate the data unless you first propagate this to the top layer ADSO. Because if it allows you to activate, delta cannot be identified anymore from active table. Initialization can happen from active table, but delta is not allowed. That's why it will stop you from activating. So that means in the process chain, when you cannot keep activation first step after the load. After this DTP load, you have to keep the second DTP load and then you keep the activation. And definitely this is the right process. It should stop us, because if it does not stop us, that means my delta cannot be identified. So it cannot let you activate if you have a delta initialization already done and the delta flow is already active. So it will not allow you. So what now I have to do? I have to first run the second DTP. So this is the delta one. Now I'll run this DTP. And now it will pick again 55 records, the request which is an inbound table, it will pick from there. And this is not going to be your delta initialization. This is going to be delta. If you see the header, this is not initialization, the flag is not there. This is delta and it picked the request ID. Which request ID it picked? 2020-0830, 944. Is it the request ID in my inbound table? 2020-830-944-42-009. That's exactly the request ID it picked. For delta identification from one DSO to another DSO, you need request IDs. And that request ID used to be provided from changelog. Now, if you don't have changelog, you cannot activate. If you have changelog, you will be able to activate, because changelog will take care for the further target. But if you don't have changelog, then it will stop you and say that, sorry boss, I cannot identify delta. You have to send it first to the target and then only you can activate. So now what I did,
it seemed like there was a warning message if you had this in a process chain, like the way you said we shouldn't be doing. Would it work or fail?
It will fail. If you keep it as an activation first, after the DTP, first DTP, then activation, then second DTP. If you do that, your activation will fail in the process chain. And it will fail with the message that you have to propagate the request first to the further target, then only you can activate. Why? Because the delta flow is active to the further target. If the delta flow is not active, then you will not be getting that message. That means initialization first has to happen. If your initialization did not happen, then it will allow you, like it allowed for the first time. Because the next time you will run the second delta, it's going to be first time and it's going to take from active table. It doesn't require changelog for the initialization. But for the subsequent deltas, it needs initialization and it needs changelog. Now, if you don't have changelog, then sorry, you cannot activate. So now let's activate the data in the integrated data warehousing layer. This one we should be able to activate because this does not have any further target connected as a delta flow. So this has activated successfully, which is fine. And now I go back to the staging layer ZS, and now I'll try to activate. Okay, let me come back again. It's taking the same this thing value. It's not refreshed. So now the request is activated. Let me make sure the request is activated in the ZI. So I'll click on ZI and we'll go to manage. Manage will go to the cockpit and it will show you all the requests there. Okay, so we have request 55 and then I don't know why we have 0 also. So, oh, okay, 0 because it did not add any records because the same records we loaded twice. So as you know, it is an override functionality. So it did not add any records, but both are now activated. Activation has successfully completed. Now I will go to the first DTP and I'll go to the show last request. Okay, see, all this will happen in a process chain, but since right now we don't have a process chain, I'm showing it directly. So this one has 55 records. Now we'll go to manage request and now we'll try to activate and it should allow us to activate successfully. Inbound table, activate. Now it will not throw you any warning and it will successfully activate it. Okay, so now both my first ADSO request and my second ADSO request are both activated and delta is already being fetched and that's why it is activated. So this is very important for you to keep in mind that if you have a target attached to a ADSO which does not have a change log, then your activation process will not be successful. It will has to be accordingly created in the process chain. So in process chain, first DTP, then second DTP, then both activation you can keep parallel. So that is going to be your process. Okay, so the next session we are going to start the delta based on CDS views. I was planning to cover the delta today also, but we are way over time. I'll not be able to cover delta today. But next session, what we are going to do is generic delta without the ODQs and then with ODQs, how you use the delta using CDS views. We will touch upon that. So I'll stop the recording for the main class.